Have you ever felt the crushing weight of rejection? That gut-wrenching moment when someone you valued, someone you trusted, simply turned their back on you. Maybe they dismissed your worth like you were nothing more than an afterthought, expecting you to crumble in their absence. They thought they knew you. They thought they could predict your every move, that you'd beg, rage, or fall apart like a character in the script they had written for your life. But here's the truth they didn't see coming. Your silence is your weapon. This isn't the kind of silence society often glorifies, the passive, fading, weak kind. No, this is a different silence altogether. It's the kind of silence that reshapes your world from the inside out. A silence so powerful it commands attention without a single word. A silence rooted in Stoicism, in self-control, and in the deep understanding that you have power over your mind, not over outside events. This silence is not surrender, it's strength. So why are we here? Because this is the story of transformation. Not just for those who faced rejection, but for anyone who's ever doubted their worth because of someone else's opinion. Together we'll uncover the power of reclaiming your crown, dismantling the throne you built for someone unworthy, and stepping into the kingdom of your own making. This isn't just a message, it's a revolution. Are you ready to burn the old map and chart a path to your freedom? Let me promise you this. By the end of this journey, you won't just feel inspired, you'll feel unstoppable. Let's begin. 1. The misjudgment of your reaction. They thought they knew you, didn't they? When they dismissed you, overlooked you, or outright rejected you, they assumed you'd follow a script. A script so predictable it's almost laughable. Let me guess, they expected tears, sleepless nights, and frantic texts begging for their attention. They expected anger, blazing, reckless anger that would confirm everything they already believed about you. But here's where they got it wrong. They underestimated you. Why? Because they don't know the strength that lies in your restraint. They don't understand that true power doesn't come from loud, impulsive reactions, but from the kind of silence that's deafening. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest voices, put it perfectly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Let me ask you this. How many times have you reacted the way they expected? How many times have you fallen into the trap of proving your worth to people who didn't deserve it? And what did it get you? Did it bring peace? Did it change how they saw you? Or did it only leave you feeling emptier, more frustrated, and further away from the life you deserve? Their rejection wasn't just about pushing you away, it was a test. A test to see if you'd give them the satisfaction of controlling your narrative. But what if you refused to play their game? What if, instead of reacting, you chose silence, not as a retreat, but as an act of defiance, a reclamation of your power? Imagine this: you don't call, you don't argue, and you don't lash out. Instead, you step back. You let the silence speak for you. And in that silence, you reclaim every ounce of energy you once poured into them. They expect noise, but what they get is a wall of quiet so unshakable it forces them to confront their own ego. You see, this silence is not about them, it's about you. It's about taking back the pen they once held and rewriting your story page by page. They might think your silence is weakness, but let me assure you, it's anything but. Because in your silence, you're saying, I don't need to prove my worth to you. I don't need your validation. I don't need your approval to be whole. And let me ask you something else. Have you noticed how society often glorifies the loudest reactions? The big blow-ups, the dramatic exits? But Stoicism teaches us that the most profound strength lies in control, in the ability to choose your response, not out of emotion but out of intention. So ask yourself, why give them the satisfaction of seeing you lose control? Why hand over your power so easily? When you choose silence, you're not just withholding words, you're redirecting energy. Every ounce of strength they thought you'd waste on anger is now fueling your growth. Every moment you don't react is a moment you reclaim for yourself. And trust me, they'll notice. Because nothing is more unsettling to someone expecting chaos than the calm they cannot shake. But let me challenge you here. Are you ready to embrace that silence? Are you ready to let go of the need to prove, to explain, to justify? It's not easy, The pull to react can feel overwhelming, especially when your ego is screaming for revenge. But remember this: true power isn't about showing them what they lost, it's about showing yourself what you've gained. The silence we're talking about isn't empty. It's full of potential. It's the silence that rebuilds you, that restores your dignity, that reminds you who you are. It's the silence that says, I am enough, and I refuse to shrink myself for anyone who cannot see it. So I'll leave you with this question. What will you choose? Will you give them the anger they expect, or will you embrace the silence that destroys their ego and elevates your soul? This is your moment to decide. Choose wisely and let your silence roar with the power they never saw coming. If you're with me so far, take a deep breath. This is only the beginning. Let's keep building the momentum. Are you ready to dismantle the broken throne you built for them and reclaim the crown that was always yours? Stay tuned, because the next chapter will challenge everything you thought you knew about love, power, and self-worth. Let's move forward together. 2. The silent revolution. Silence. It's a word most people misunderstand. How many times have you been told that silence is weakness? That to be quiet is to surrender? That the only way to prove your worth is to fight, to argue, to scream until someone finally hears you? And how many times has that left you exhausted, drained, and still unseen? They expected your anger. They expected you to lash out, to cry, to beg for their validation. Because isn't that what they've seen before? Isn't that what so many people do, play right into their hands, wasting their energy on battles they were never meant to fight? But you, my friend, are different. You don't fight their way, you rise. You rise in silence. Let me ask you this. What if silence isn't the end of the conversation but the start of your transformation? What if silence isn't weakness but a revolution? Not the kind of silence that sits bitterly in a corner, stewing in resentment, hoping for someone to notice your pain. No, this silence is something else. This is active silence. A silence so powerful it's like standing in the eye of a storm, calm, steady, and unshakable. Picture this. Every word you don't say becomes energy you redirect. Every response you withhold becomes an investment in yourself. Every moment of quiet is an opportunity to build, to grow, to rise. And when they look at you, expecting the chaos of your anger, all they see is a calm they cannot comprehend. That's when the revolution begins. Here's the thing. Most people think power lies in noise. But real power doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. Real power commands attention without ever raising its voice. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, said it best. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Silence isn't about avoiding the confrontation. It's about choosing your battles. It's about stepping away from their chaos and stepping into your peace. And when you stop reacting, something incredible happens. You stop giving them control. Every second you stay silent, you're reclaiming a piece of yourself. Every moment you don't react is a moment they realize they no longer hold the strings. Now let me challenge you. When was the last time you stopped to think about how much of your energy you've handed over to someone else? How many hours, days, even years have you spent trying to prove your worth to people who are too blind to see it? And for what? For them to notice. For them to change? Stop waiting. Stop hoping they'll wake up and regret losing you. Because here's the truth. They may never see your worth, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that you see it. What matters is that you rise above their expectations and refuse to let their ignorance define your value. Epictetus, another Stoic master, said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This silence we're talking about, it's not passive. It's not about fading into the background. It's about transformation, becoming the ruler of your own destiny, the architect of your own life. But here's the key. This silence isn't for them. It's for you. It's not about waiting for their regret. It's about finding your strength. It's about stepping back from the noise and stepping into your own power. Imagine a life where you no longer have to chase, explain, or prove. A life where your silence speaks louder than any words ever could. And the best part, they won't see it coming. They'll sit there waiting for the explosion, for the anger, for the begging. But instead they'll be met with silence, a silence so profound it forces them to confront their own ego. That's the revolution. That's the moment they realize your worth was never tied to their recognition. So let me ask you, are you ready to embrace the power of your silence? Are you ready to reclaim your energy and redirect it inward? Are you ready to rise, not with noise or anger, but with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their own worth? If this resonates with you, let me know. Like this video and comment number 1 below if you feel the shift happening. Let the world know you're done playing by their rules. And don't forget to subscribe. This is just the beginning of your journey. The silent revolution starts here, but trust me, there's so much more to come. You're not just watching a video. You're stepping into a movement, one that's about reclaiming your life and rewriting your story. So are you ready to rise in silence? Let's keep going, because what comes next will reshape the way you see yourself and your world. 3. The broken throne. Why you gave them power. Let's be honest for a moment. When they walked into your life, they didn't come wearing a crown. They didn't ask to sit on a throne. You built it for them. Brick by brick, piece by piece, you gave them power they never earned. But why? Why did you put someone so high above you that they could look down on you while you diminished yourself in the process? Think about it. Each compromise you made, every moment you silenced your own needs to amplify theirs, every time you overlooked the disrespect and told yourself, it's okay, they'll change, those were the bricks of the throne. And now they sit there, oblivious to the wreckage they've caused, comfortable in the position you handed them. Here's the tough truth. You weren't forced to build that throne. You did it willingly, even though it broke you. But why? Why did you believe they deserved it? Was it love? Was it fear? Or was it the stories we've been told about what love should look like? Movies, songs, and society paint love as sacrifice, an all-consuming force that requires you to give everything, even if it destroys you. But let me ask you, what kind of love demands that you lose yourself? What kind of love requires you to crawl while they stand tall? No one told you this truth before, but here it is. Real love doesn't enslave you. It doesn't put you in chains or crush your spirit under the weight of someone else's needs. Love, at its core, should lift you. It should make you soar, not clip your wings. But let's not blame them entirely. Because the power they hold over you didn't come from their actions, it came from your beliefs. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And here's the truth. Your thoughts about love, about self-worth, and about what you deserved were flawed. Every time you tolerated their disrespect, every time you begged for their attention, another crack formed in the foundation of that throne. And yet, you kept building it. You told yourself, if I just give more, if I love deeper, if I work harder, they'll finally see my worth. But did they? Or did they simply get used to taking without giving anything in return? Now let's flip the script. Look back and ask yourself, why did I build that throne in the first place? Was it because you truly believed they were worthy of such power? Or was it because you were afraid of what would happen if you didn't? Afraid of losing them? Afraid of being alone? Afraid that if you didn't give everything, you'd end up with nothing? Fear is a powerful thing. It convinces you to hold on to people who don't deserve a place in your life. It whispers lies that tell you your worth is tied to their approval, that without them, you're nothing. But fear is a liar. And the throne you built, it was never indestructible. It was cracked, broken, and ready to collapse from the start, because it was built on a foundation of insecurity. The hardest truth to face is this: they never asked for the throne. You gave it to them. You handed them the keys to your kingdom, and then acted surprised when they didn't treat it with care. You thought their validation would define your worth, but all it did was blind you to it. Now, I'm not saying this to make you feel guilty. I'm saying this because it's time to wake up, to see things clearly, to realize that the power you gave them can be taken back. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." And that's what happened here. They didn't see your value because they were never looking for it. But the real tragedy is that you didn't see it either. So let's shift focus. Let's stop asking, why did they hurt me? And start asking, why did I believe they deserved my crown? The throne you built for them is not unbreakable. It can be dismantled. Brick by brick, you can take it apart and rebuild it, not for them, but for you. Imagine this. Every time you say no to their disrespect, you're removing a brick. Every time you choose yourself over their approval, another piece falls away. And as the throne crumbles, something extraordinary happens. You remember that it was never theirs to begin with. The throne, the power, the crown, it was always yours. You just forgot how to sit on it. This is the moment where you reclaim what's been yours all along, where you stop breaking yourself to hold up a throne for someone who doesn't deserve it, where you choose to rise, not out of anger or revenge, but out of self-respect. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Reclaiming your power isn't about them, it's about you. It's about recognizing that your worth was never tied to their recognition. It's about realizing that love isn't supposed to feel like chains tightening around your soul. It's about remembering that the crown has always been yours to wear. So now I'll ask you, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep building that broken throne, hoping they'll finally see your worth? Or are you going to tear it down and rebuild something stronger, something unshakable, something that belongs to you and you alone? This is your moment. The power is in your hands. Take it back, brick by brick, because the throne isn't theirs, it's yours. And when you reclaim it, you'll discover that the strength you were searching for in them was inside you all along. Let that sink in. And when you're ready, let's keep moving forward, because this journey isn't over yet. The next chapter is about burning the old map and charting a new path, one where you no longer follow their rules, one where you lead. Let's go. 4. The trap of revenge and validation. Let's talk about something that most people won't admit. The fantasies of revenge and validation. Be honest with yourself. How many times have you imagined the moment when they realize their mistake? The moment they see you thriving and regret walking away. You picture it so vividly, don't you? Them broken, them begging, them finally understanding what they lost. And for a brief second, it feels good. But here's the truth. That fantasy is a trap. Revenge and validation are two sides of the same coin, and both keep you tied to someone who doesn't deserve a second of your energy. When you chase revenge, you're still reacting to them. When you seek validation, you're still putting their opinion above your own. In both cases, you're giving them power over you, and that's exactly what they don't deserve. Let me ask you this. Why are you still holding on? Why are you letting their rejection dictate your actions? Why are you still allowing their ignorance to shape your worth? If they couldn't see your value when you gave them everything, do you really believe their regret would change anything? Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And what lies beyond your control? Their thoughts, their feelings, their opinions, their regret. Here's the hard truth. The closure you're waiting for, it's never coming. The apology you think you need, you don't. And even if they did wake up one day and realize what they lost, would it really change anything? Would their regret suddenly erase all the pain? Or would it just be another way to keep you chained to a past that no longer serves you? Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Let that sink in. Revenge might feel satisfying for a moment, a fleeting sense of justice, but at what cost? Every step you take toward revenge is a step back into their world, their chaos, their control. You're still letting them dictate your actions, and that's not power, it's bondage. And validation. Let's call it what it is, a form of begging. When you seek validation, you're still saying, "Look at me, see me, acknowledge me." But why? Why should someone who didn't value you before hold the key to your self-esteem now? They didn't see your worth then, and even if they do now, it doesn't change the fact that they weren't capable of appreciating it when it mattered most. Think about it this way. You're a masterpiece, a rare one-of-a-kind work of art. But what sense does it make to keep begging a blind person to admire you? Their inability to see your value doesn't diminish it. It simply reveals their lack of vision. So let me ask you, who are you really trying to convince? Them or yourself? Deep down, are you chasing revenge or validation because you want them to see your worth? Or is it because you're still struggling to see it yourself? Here's where Stoicism offers a way out. Instead of wasting your energy on things you can't control, focus on what you can. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This is the key. Your power doesn't come from their regret. It doesn't come from their validation. It comes from you, from within. Imagine this. Instead of trying to prove your worth to them, you focus entirely on yourself. You stop chasing. You stop explaining. You stop reacting. And in that stillness, in that quiet reclamation of your energy, you discover something extraordinary. You were enough all along. Their inability to see it doesn't change the fact that you were always worthy. Always. This is why revenge and validation are lies. They make you believe your power lies in their reaction. But real power doesn't come from them. It comes from letting go. It comes from moving forward. It comes from building a life so fulfilling, so radiant, that their absence becomes irrelevant. Let me paint you a picture. You stop chasing revenge. You stop waiting for validation. Instead, you redirect all of that energy inward. You focus on your growth, your peace, your joy. You become so grounded, so confident in your own worth that nothing they say or do can shake you. That's true freedom. That's real power. And here's the thing, they'll notice. Oh, they'll notice. They'll see the life you're building without them, the strength you found, the light that shines brighter than ever before. But by then, their opinion won't matter, because you'll have realized something they never did. Your worth isn't up for debate. It never was. So, are you ready to let go of the lies? Are you ready to stop chasing what isn't meant for you? Are you ready to step into the kind of power that doesn't need their regret or the acknowledgement? If you're feeling this, let me know. Like this video and comment number 1 below to declare that you're done with the lies of revenge and validation. Let it be a reminder that your energy belongs to you, not to someone who didn't see your light. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel because this journey is just getting started. The best is yet to come, and I promise you won't want to miss what's next. Let's keep going. Together, we're building something stronger than revenge and brighter than validation. We're building a life where your worth is undeniable because you've chosen to own it fully and completely. 5. Declaring your kingdom. There comes a moment in every journey when you stop looking back, when you stop replaying the past, stop asking why, and start asking what now. This is that moment. The moment where you reclaim everything they tried to take from you. The moment where you declare your kingdom, not for them, not to prove anything, but for yourself. For too long, you've been living as if someone else holds the crown. You've acted like their approval is what gives you power, like their recognition is what validates your existence. But here's the truth you need to hear. The crown was never theirs. It was always yours. They didn't build it. They didn't earn it. And they sure as hell don't deserve it. So why did you hand it over? Why did you let their opinions matter more than your own? Why did you allow their rejection to shape the way you see yourself? Let's be real. The answer isn't about them. It's about you. It's about the stories you've told yourself. Stories that said your worth was something to be proven, not something you already had. Stories that told you love meant sacrifice, that validation meant chasing, and that your value was only as strong as someone else's acknowledgement. But those stories are lies. And now, it's time to write a new one. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look." Your strength has always been within you. It's just been buried under layers of doubt, fear, and insecurity. But here's the good news. You don't need anyone else to unearth it. You can do it yourself. You just have to decide right now that your life belongs to no one else but you. What does that look like? It looks like setting boundaries and actually keeping them. It looks like refusing to let someone else's treatment of you determine how you treat yourself. It looks like choosing peace over drama, growth over stagnation, and self-respect over compromise. Declaring your kingdom isn't about building walls, it's about building a foundation. A foundation so strong that nothing and no one can shake it. It's about creating a life that feels so aligned with who you are that you no longer need external validation to feel whole. It's about choosing yourself every single day, even when it's hard, even when it feels lonely. Because let's face it, there will be moments when it feels easier to go back. When the old habits creep in, when the pull to explain yourself, to justify, to chase feels almost overwhelming. But those moments are where the real work happens. Those are the moments where you have to remind yourself, this is my life, my story, my crown. Think about the word kingdom. It's not just a place, it's a reflection of who you are. Every choice you make, every boundary you set, every time you choose yourself over their approval, you're building that kingdom brick by brick. And as you build, you'll start to notice something extraordinary. The people who were never meant to be part of your journey will fade away, and the ones who truly see your worth will step forward. But here's the catch. You can't build your kingdom for anyone else. It can't be about making them regret losing you or proving them wrong. That's not strength, it's still dependency. Your kingdom has to be for you. It has to be a space where you can stand tall, unapologetic, and unshakable, knowing that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's opinion. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And that's what declaring your kingdom is all about, mastery. Not of others, but of yourself. Mastery of your emotions, your actions, and your energy. Mastery of the stories you tell yourself and the beliefs you choose to hold on to. Mastery of your ability to let go of what doesn't serve you and embrace what does. Let me ask you this. If you stripped away all the noise, all the opinions, all the expectations, what would your kingdom look like? What kind of life would you build if it wasn't about pleasing others or proving your worth? What kind of person would you be if you stopped shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's world? Picture it. A life where you don't chase because what's meant for you will never require running. A life where you don't explain because your value isn't something that needs defending. A life where you don't beg because you already know you're enough. That's your kingdom. That's what you're building. But building isn't easy. It takes time, effort, and persistence. It takes saying no when every part of you wants to say yes just to avoid discomfort. It takes walking away from people who no longer serve you, even when it hurts. It takes choosing growth over familiarity, even when it feels scary. And here's the truth. Not everyone will understand. Some will see your boundaries as selfishness. Some will try to guilt you into shrinking back into the version of yourself they were comfortable with. But that's their issue, not yours. Because the people who truly care about you, the ones who deserve a place in your kingdom, will respect your growth. They'll see your crown and honor it, not try to take it. So here's the question. Are you ready to declare your kingdom? Are you ready to stop living for others and start living for yourself? Are you ready to let go of the stories that no longer serve you and write a new one where you are the ruler of your life? This isn't about revenge. It's not about making anyone regret losing you. It's about creating a life so fulfilling, so grounded in your own worth, that their absence doesn't even matter. It's about realizing that your crown isn't something they can take from you. It's something you choose to wear. Because when you declare your kingdom, everything changes. Your energy shifts. Your priorities realign. You stop chasing and start attracting. And the best part, you'll no longer need their approval because you'll finally have your own. Take a deep breath and let that settle. You're not just declaring your kingdom, you're stepping into your reign. And what comes next isn't about the past or the people who couldn't see your worth. It's about the life you're building, the strength you're uncovering, and the legacy you're leaving behind. Let's keep going, because this journey is far from over. In the next chapter, we'll take this to the next level by burning the old map and charting a new path, one that leads straight to the life you deserve. Stay with me. Your reign has just begun. 6. Burning the old map. Let's get brutally honest for a moment. The map you've been following, who drew it? Was it them? The ones who rejected you? Was it society, whispering promises of love and worth if you just sacrificed enough? Or was it your own fear, convincing you that their approval was the only road to peace? That map, it's a lie. Every path on it was designed to keep you trapped, running in circles, chasing something you already have within yourself. It's time to stop walking that road. It's time to burn the old map. Think about how many times you've traveled that same route. How many times you've walked the path of self-sacrifice, convinced that if you just gave more, loved deeper, tried harder, they'd finally see your worth. And where did it lead you? Back to the same dead end, the same pain, the same rejection. Marcus Aurelius said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." The obstacle isn't just their rejection, it's the map itself, the belief that your value lies at the end of a road someone else created. That belief has been standing in your way for far too long. Now imagine this: lighting a match, holding it up to that old map, and watching it burn. Watch the false promises, the toxic patterns, and the endless loops of pain turn to ash. Feel the weight of it lift as the smoke clears and you realize something incredible: you're not lost. You're free. Ice. But here's the question that always comes next. If I burn the old map, where do I go? That's the beauty of this moment. You get to decide. You get to chart your own path, not one dictated by their expectations or your past fears, but one that aligns with who you truly are. So let me ask you, what do you want? Not what they want, not what will make them notice you, not what will make them regret losing you. What do you want? Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And this is where your freedom begins. When you stop following their road and start building your own. When you let go of the belief that their validation will lead you to happiness and realize that happiness is something you create for yourself. Picture this: a blank canvas, a wide open field, endless possibilities. That's what lies ahead of you when you burn the old map. But the first step is letting go of what no longer serves you. Let me paint a picture of what that looks like. Every time you say no to something that drains you, you're charting a new path. Every time you choose peace over chaos, you're paving a road that leads to freedom. Every time you stop chasing and start creating, you're taking another step toward a life that's truly yours. But here's the truth. Burning the old map isn't easy. It's scary. Because for so long, that map was all you knew. It felt safe, even when it was leading you nowhere. Letting it go means stepping into the unknown, and the unknown can feel overwhelming. But let me remind you, the old road was never safe. It was a prison disguised as a path, and every step you took on it only kept you further away from the life you deserve. So here's what you do. You light the match. You let the flames consume every toxic belief, every lost hope, every lie you told yourself to justify their behavior. You let it burn, and as the smoke rises, you take your first step onto a road that's yours and yours alone. This new path isn't about revenge. It's not about making them see your worth or regret losing you. It's about creating a life so fulfilling, so grounded in self-respect, that their absence becomes irrelevant. It's about realizing that you don't need anyone's permission to live a life that feels whole. Think about it. What kind of life do you want to build? One where you're constantly chasing, constantly explaining, constantly proving? Or one where you stand tall, unapologetic, and completely at peace with who you are? Burning the old map isn't just about letting go of them, it's about letting go of who you were when you were with them. The version of you that settled, that tolerated, that shrank yourself to fit into their world. That version served its purpose, but it's time to leave it behind. Let me remind you of something powerful. The road ahead is yours to build. You don't need a map drawn by someone else. You don't need their validation or their approval to move forward. You are more than capable of creating a path that leads to joy, to growth, to freedom. So I'll ask you again, are you ready to burn the old map? Are you ready to let go of the road that was never meant for you and start building one that aligns with your truth? If this resonates with you, like this video and comment number 1 below to let me know you're ready to take that step. And don't forget to subscribe, because this journey is far from over. Together we're creating something stronger, something unshakable, something that no one can take away from you. This is your moment. Burn the old map. Step onto the new road. And stay with me, because in the next chapter, we're going to talk about why revenge and validation aren't just lies, they're chains holding you back. Let's keep moving forward. The best is yet to come. 7. The lie of revenge and validation. Revenge and validation. These are the traps that catch so many of us when we're hurt, rejected, or betrayed. They promise satisfaction, a sense of justice, and maybe even closure. But if you look closely, you'll see that these promises are hollow. Revenge and validation don't set you free. They keep you chained to the very people and situations you're trying to rise above. Let's start with revenge. How many times have you replayed that fantasy in your head? The one where they realize what they lost, where they see you thriving, and regret every moment they ever dismissed you. You imagine their downfall, their pain, their longing for what they once had in you. And for a moment, it feels good, doesn't it? But here's the truth. Revenge is a prison disguised as power. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Think about that. Revenge might feel like reclaiming power, but in reality, it's just another form of dependence. When your actions are fueled by the desire to hurt them back, you're still allowing them to control you. Your thoughts, your energy, your focus, they're all tied to someone who no longer deserves a place in your life. Ask yourself, if you dedicate your time and energy to making them regret their actions, who's really winning? You might succeed in making them feel the sting of loss, but at what cost? Every second spent on revenge is a second you could have spent building something meaningful. Every ounce of energy poured into their downfall is energy stolen from your growth. And what about validation? That craving for their acknowledgement, their approval, their recognition of your worth. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, if they just see how amazing I am now, it'll all be worth it. But will it? Seeking validation is just another way of handing them power. When you need their recognition to feel whole, you're saying that your worth is still tied to their opinion. You're saying that until they see your value, you won't believe in it yourself. And let me tell you, that's a dangerous place to be. Epictetus, one of the greatest voices in Stoicism, said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This means letting go of the need for others to understand or approve of your journey. It's about recognizing that their opinions are irrelevant to your growth. Because here's the hard truth. If they couldn't see your worth when you were giving them everything, their acknowledgement now won't change anything. Think about it. Imagine they come back, full of regret, begging for another chance. Imagine they admit they were wrong and finally see your value. What changes? Do those words erase the pain they caused? Do they rebuild the self-respect you sacrificed? Or do they just offer a fleeting moment of satisfaction before you realize that their regret can't heal the wounds they left behind? Here's the thing about both revenge and validation. They keep you looking back. They keep you tethered to the past, replaying old wounds, and waiting for someone else to give you closure. But Stoicism teaches us that closure isn't something you wait for, it's something you create. Marcus Aurelius reminds us you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. What does that strength look like? It looks like letting go. Letting go of the need to prove anything to anyone. Letting go of the desire to hurt them the way they hurt you. Letting go of the hope that their acknowledgement will somehow fill the emptiness they left behind. This isn't easy. Letting go feels like surrender, like giving up. But it's not. Letting go is the ultimate act of freedom. It's choosing to prioritize your peace over their regret, your growth over their recognition, and your future over your past. Imagine a life where you no longer need their validation to feel whole. Imagine a life where their absence doesn't haunt you, because you filled that space with something far greater: self-respect, self-worth, and a life you've built on your own terms. That's the life that's waiting for you on the other side of letting go. Let me paint a picture of what happens when you rise above revenge and validation. They're expecting anger, pain, and chaos. They're expecting you to fight for their attention or lash out in fury. But instead, you rise in silence. You focus on yourself, on your growth, on your joy. You build a life so full, so radiant that their regret becomes meaningless. And here's the irony. The moment you stop needing their validation, they'll likely feel it. They'll see your transformation, your strength, and your resilience. But by then, their acknowledgement won't matter, because you'll have already moved on. You'll have realized that their opinion of you is irrelevant, because your opinion of yourself is what truly matters. So, let me ask you, are you ready to break free from the chains of revenge and validation? Are you ready to stop chasing their regret and start creating your peace? Are you ready to let go of the fantasies that keep you stuck and step into the life you deserve? Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and freedom doesn't come from making them regret losing you. Freedom comes from letting them go. It comes from realizing that your worth isn't up for debate. It comes from understanding that the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living a life so full, so grounded in your own power, that their absence is irrelevant." This is your moment. Let go of revenge. Let go of validation. Let go of everything that ties you to a past that no longer serves you. And when you do, you'll discover something extraordinary. You were free all along. You just needed to let go to see it. Take this truth with you as we move into the final chapter. It's time to talk about what happens when you declare your kingdom, embrace your power, and leave a legacy that no one can ignore. Stay with me, because the best part of this journey is just beginning. Every ruler leaves a mark, not with words shouted in anger, not with the fleeting satisfaction of revenge, but with the quiet strength of a life well lived. Your legacy isn't built on their regret or their acknowledgement. It's built on the choices you make from this moment forward. So let me ask you, what kind of ruler will you be? Will you let the pain of the past define you? Will you keep chasing validation or revenge, giving away your power to people who don't deserve it? Or will you rise? Will you declare your kingdom, reclaim your crown, and create a life that speaks for itself? Marcus Aurelius said, "What we do now echoes in eternity." The actions you take today, the way you respond to rejection, the way you reclaim your power, these are the echoes you leave behind. Your legacy begins not with their regret, but with your decision to stop looking back and start building forward. Imagine this, a life where your worth isn't up for debate, a life where you no longer need to explain, defend, or prove yourself, a life where you stand tall, wearing your crown not because someone handed it to you, but because you chose to put it on. That life is yours for the taking, but only if you let go of the chains holding you back. Here's the truth. The ones who couldn't see your value don't define your legacy. They were a lesson, not a life sentence. Their rejection was the spark, but your response is the flame. And that flame, it has the power to illuminate your path and burn away everything that no longer serves you. Your legacy isn't about them. It's about you. It's about the strength you found in silence, the courage you discovered in letting go, and the life you built when you stopped chasing and started choosing yourself. Now take a moment and picture the legacy you want to leave behind. What does it look like? Is it a life filled with resentment tied to people who didn't value you? Or is it a life of freedom, joy, and self-respect? You get to decide. The crown is yours, but you have to choose to wear it. This isn't just the end of a story, it's the beginning of your reign. So step into it. Take back your time, your energy, your worth, and build something so powerful that it cannot be ignored. You are the ruler of your life. You always have been. It's time to act like it. If this journey resonated with you, if you felt the spark of transformation, I invite you to take action. Reflect on what you've learned, apply it to your life, and watch how everything begins to change. Your silence, your strength, your self-respect, these are the tools of your reign. Use them wisely. And one more thing. If this message spoke to you, share it. Someone out there needs to hear it, just like you did. Spread the light, share your story. And remember, this is your time. Thank you for being part of this journey. I see your strength, your resilience, and your crown, even if you're still finding it for yourself. Now go out there and build your legacy. You've got this. Let's make it unforgettable. Stay strong, stay true, and always remember, the crown has always been yours. Wear it proudly.